This week in Jamaica Now, woman killed, her children injured in an acid attack at their home in Clarendon. The hunt is on for her boyfriend. Indiana man sentenced to 300 years in prison for multiple killings. How a Jamaican man was convicted of revenge porn targeting an American TV anchor.
He posted this and several explicit photos that he had taken of me while I was asleep.
The latest on the U.S. immigration crackdown, a Jamaican tries to avoid deportation. And the Ruel Reid probe takes another twist. The minister was the holder of a government credit card, but was this unique? I'm Damian Mitchell, and this is Jamaica Now. The hunt is on for a taxi driver following a bizarre acid attack that left his common-law wife dead and their 2 children injured in Clarendon this week. The police say a domestic dispute turned ugly in the wee hours of Sunday morning when 24-year-old cashier Sherian Morrison was doused with a corrosive substance. Her children, aged 2 and 4, were injured. They have been admitted to hospital. Sherian's mother, Evan Morrison, had earlier received a call from Sherian telling her that there was a dispute with her boyfriend. Mrs. Morrison said soon after the boyfriend called.
Within 10 minutes time, could be less, but no more. He had called up my phone and said, come and get Sherian, come and get Sherian. He said, no, come within 10 minutes time. A dead she dead and me gone, and I'm up the phone.
A Jamaican man accused of posting nude pictures on the internet of his ex-girlfriend, a former American TV news anchor, has been convicted in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court in a case of revenge porn. 53-year-old Donovan Powell pleaded guilty to 3 counts of malicious communication. His conviction comes more than 2 years after Darieth Chisholm, a former NBC News anchor based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, complained to Jamaican authorities that Powell created a website where he posted nude pictures of her along with derogatory comments.
For months prior to that, he had been sending me threatening text messages like this. He was trying to make me out to be some sleazy, low-life slut.
Powell is to be sentenced on November 1. The Education Ministry is checking to determine if the circumstances under which discarded Education Minister Ruel Reid obtained a state credit card breached government guidelines. The card had a limit of $3,800 or just over 500,000 Jamaican dollars. It was to have been used to pay for gasoline, some hotel charges, books, and some air travel related expenses. Acting Permanent Secretary in the Education Ministry, Dr. Grace McLean, says the Finance Ministry had approved the card on September 29, 2016. The revelation about Reid's credit card has sparked immense public debate, but in a tweet, Parliamentary Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Robert Nesta Morgan, said under the PNP administration, several government officials were also given state-funded credit cards. An Indiana man who admitted to killing 4 people, including his unborn child, has been sentenced to 300 years in prison. In May, 23-year-old Marcus Dansby of Fort Wayne pleaded guilty to 4 counts of murder after prosecutors agreed not to pursue the death penalty if he admitted to the September 2016 killings. Dansby had faced at least 205 years and a maximum of 320 years at Thursday's sentencing. Dansby admitted to carrying out the shooting and stabbing deaths of 18-year-old Traven Harris, 37-year-old Consuela Arrington, 18-year-old Dajone Arrington, and the near-term fetus she was carrying. He also shot and stabbed a 14-year-old girl who survived. A Jamaican man in the state of Connecticut has filed an appeal against his deportation, which is being pursued by immigration authorities in the U.S. despite his being pardoned of his crimes. The Miami Herald reports that Connecticut Attorney General William Tong argued Tuesday that federal immigration authorities have begun attempting to deport some residents with past criminal records, even though their crimes were pardoned by the state's Board of Pardons and Paroles. Tong appeared before the First U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Boston to argue on behalf of Jamaican Richard Marvin Thompson. Thompson had received an unconditional pardon from the state's board, but still faces deportation. Federal immigration officials contend a pardon needs to come from a governor or the president under a waiver. St. Andrew Southwest MP Dr. Angela Brown Burke has declared support for Manchester Central MP Peter Bunting in his bid to unseat incumbent Dr. Peter David Phillips as president of the 80-year-old People's National Party. Brown Burke was among PNP delegates who endorsed Bunting's nomination papers at the party's Old Hope Road headquarters in St. Andrew on Friday.
Hail the next president of the People's National Party! One leader! One leader! One leader!
presidential election will be held on September 7, which coincides with Bunting's birthday. The Jamaica Environment Trust, JET, and representatives of other local civil society organizations joined activists from International Environment Group Greenpeace in a peaceful protest outside the International Seabed Authority in downtown Kingston on Tuesday. The protesters called for governments to agree on a global ocean treaty that would protect oceans from industrial exploitation. Among other things, the treaty calls for the creation of a global system that allows for the effective implementation of ocean sanctuaries on the high seas. However, despite advanced notice, the police insisted that the protesters could not remain in front of the Jamaica Conference Center, where officials had gathered for a seabed summit. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. You may tune in to Power 106 FM for regular updates. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. I'm Damian Mitchell, and before we go, a snippet of the performance of Little Tashay Silvera in her Sumfest performance with reggae artist Romain Virgo.
Listen.
Hey, mama, you feel listen to your daughter. When she tell you she not happy, you see the signs and turn a blind eye. Me, I beg you to stop it. 'Cause that man where you have a come take you, when you let him still a sorrow. It's a disgrace, man. Ooh, you're just a waste man. A waste man.
Talk to them, Tashay. Listen.
Oh, no, if you talk up. If you don't know them thing you want, nobody wait till it's too late. Alright, now if you sound the alarm, oh, no, if you talk up. If you don't know them thing you want, and if you know I'm not say a thing you was start than the dirty man. You dirty man. Leave the people beneath them. Leave them.